Well, good afternoon. I was making a comment. I say, if I can make it safe, not trip myself to the stage, I will be successful today. All right, next slide, please. So, cyber perfect storm. The future is now. While we are observing several very severe, devastating tropical storms, is taking away several of our Caribbean islands' lives, their critical infrastructures, as well as their homes. We are continuously battling the cyber storms, where that we are battling with the bad actors, which is including individual or organized cybercrime. And many of you understand that 80% of the cyber attack it actually is conducted by organized crime. And these organized crimes, very frighteningly, they are supported by state-of-the-art business infrastructure. They have the most advanced storefront to be able to sell their information and tool sets to the folks out there in the dark market. Believe it or not, they even have 1-800 numbers to provide the post-customer service. This is the environment that we are battling. This is the environment that we call the cyberspace. So when people ask me, Shue-Jane, what is cyberspace? When I think about cyberspace, this is the picture that came to my head. However, when I sketch this spider web-like neural cyberspace on a piece of paper, I immediately realized this is really not just a single space. This is the space actually is so interconnected in multidimensional with many factors that are formulating this complex cyberspace, if you would. So if you look at this neural-like web connectivities, we are not in a static environment. You and I both have many smart devices with us. Today, I carry 4, I think at least 4. Each of the devices probably carry about 40,000 lines of the code. In addition to that is, if you're like me, you probably had 10,000 or 20,000 pictures, loaded in the iCloud or any other cloud environment and constantly synchronizing it. In addition to that is, you probably are like me, had trillions of PowerPoint slides that loaded in your box folder. We are all PowerPoint rangers, aren't we? So this is the type of volume, the velocity, the scale, and the quality of threat intelligence that we need to gain. So this is the space that we are dealing with. So if you ask me, what is our cyber surface that we have to protect, that we have to defend? Can you do that estimation? Can any of you to do that estimation of what is our cyber surface that we are exposing to our, to the adversaries to attack? 30 years ago, I was a meteorologist. I'm telling you my age here. So when I was a meteorologist, we are using supercomputing system, developing algorithms to be able to forecast weather. And the purpose and intention of focusing weather here is to allowing our citizens to have ample of time to prepare for the storm before it attacks, before it hits you. In addition to this, we, as a value-added services, if you would, we would like to provide that, the weather information allowing you to gain additional comfort for your life. In cybersecurity, the model and simulation of the cyber threat is in a very similar manner. We are detecting, instead of like weather modeling, we are looking at the temperature gradient and the air instability to identify the source of the storm. In cyber model and simulation, we are looking at abnormalities. We are looking at the patterns, the signatures, where the bad actor is taking advantage of us, and to be able to trace and be able to do that forecast and provide that insight. And the purpose of cybersecurity model simulation is allowing us to gain the insight that many of the speakers this morning talk about proactiveness. We could no longer afford only defending, only reacting to the threat. We ought to have the ability to gain the insight, the intelligence, so we'll be able to battle and be able to prepare ourselves, and even to prevent the impact to your environment. So weather modeling and cyber threat modeling had a very similar approach, but one very important factor here is human behavior. Because in the weather modeling, human factor is a sub-factor, have more indirect impact to the weather. On the other hand, in the cybersecurity model simulation, human factor is a direct factor. Therefore, we have to take into consideration not just computer science. You're talking about behavior science. You're talking about social science. And that's what makes this cyberspace even more complicated. In addition to that, think about, we are generating tremendous amount of data as we go, and our human behavior, the good behavior versus not so good behavior, or the behavior that we are not even aware of, are actually opening up back doors to the bad actors, are continuously adding additional layer of threat to our environment. So artificial intelligence is really the game changer for cybersecurity. Having said all that, we can leverage machine learning. We can ask Watson, what should we do when we encounter this type of, cyber threat? We can look into the future, of the attack, future threat, and to prepare ourselves. Having said all that, artificial intelligence is only good if we can trust the artificial intelligence, because the algorithm could be very easily compromised. So we can embed the artificial intelligence into your data layer. We can embed the artificial intelligence to your hardware, even to your firmware, right? It all allowing you to gain additional velocity, the scale, and the quality of your threat intelligence. Having said all that, if your artificial intelligence cannot be trusted, you could be misled. You could be misled. And therefore, while we were developing sophisticated artificial intelligence, those algorithms built behind your machine learning or your cognitive technologies, let's not forget we need to add that security to it. So coming to the next one that I'm talking about, technology, right? So artificial intelligence is one form of technology. If you can go back to the previous slide, please. The artificial intelligence, when we embed it to to your cybersecurity platforms, you can also add in additional security capability to be able to further entice your defensive and also your preventative mechanisms. However, if the technology cannot be trusted, if cannot secure, it's not secure, you will not gain that traction or adoption. And therefore, it's critically important while we are looking into additional advanced technology, to further protect and our environment. Let's not forget the fundamental cyber hygiene has to be implemented. As an example, several of the speakers talk about blockchain. We use blockchain to, as a so-called secure platform with common ledger, allowing certain type of financial transaction. In IBM, we use blockchain as the healthcare data transaction platform, as our biometrics identity data transaction platform. But let's not carry this fallacy, believe in blockchain is a secure platform without the necessary cyber hygiene. And therefore, we are putting in the end-to-end cybersecurity assurance on top of the blockchain to make sure that we have ability to ensure this necessary security. We have ability to be able to monitor and detect any of the abnormalities, so we can add the additional layer of security necessary to be able to enable such sensitive information, sensitive data packet transactions. So technology will not be able to carry to the next stage unless we are able to, I call it prerequisite, has to be secure to be widely adopted. Last point that in the cyber ecospace, part of this perfect storm is, cybersecurity professionals. 11% of the cyber professionals are female. In addition to that, there are millions of jobs, cybersecurity jobs cannot be filled. In addition to that, if you look at the space that is complicated, we can never get enough arms and legs to battle the cybersecurity. Therefore, education, training, be able to, grow the next generation cyber warriors are critically important. Okay? All right, let's go to the next slide. So, with the understanding of what cyberspace is about and knowing that we are actually battling with very sophisticated, organized crime as well as individuals are really having ample time to look at the back doors and look at the vulnerability and attack us. And there is a saying even you are very smart, there are always someone out there going to outsmart you. And therefore, we can no longer just rely on ourselves only. This is why threat intelligence is no longer a IP, it's no longer a proprietary information. To be able to battle with this large, population, very sophisticated hackers and bad actors, adversaries, we must share more than our bad actor will share. Because if we open up and share and put that threat intelligence out there in the open, guess what? The bad actor will be surfaced up. You will be able to identify them. You also will be able to reduce that threat attack surface, and that is critically important. And therefore, in IBM, we have a 700 terabytes of threat intelligence from a crowdsourced, infrastructure sharing across the board. People can contribute the threat intelligence. We can share across, because you are only good if you, can join the greater, intelligence sources. That's how we can battle it together. All right. One last comment about how we battle in this perfect storm. If you think this perfect storm is a category 5, we better think again. To me, this is probably only category 3. Their category 5 superstorm is yet to come. Therefore, we must, be able to do our part. And step number 1 is cyber hygiene. Several of you guys talk about, the CDM program, DHS CDM program. That's cyber hygiene. That's secure the front door, making sure our human beings, our assets, our services are fully guarded with appropriate implementation of the necessary technology, necessary processes, necessary governance, methodology to be able to get us to the end game. That is only guarding the front doors. Second thing here is that be able to predict the threat and take informative actions. This is to know what, when, and how to deter. And this had to be known ahead of the attack, is coming near you. And this is where we need to rely on open crowdsource, threat intelligence, and also ability to share those intelligence and the countermeasures together, because this is the important part here, is you can no longer battle alone. Lastly, here is the cyber resilience. The cyber resilience is allowing you to operate even you are under attack. And this is why that immune community, that willing to abide to a common community rule, under this common community rule, you and I, the multiple organizations now can share how we, the threat intelligence, even the human resources, as well as technologies and tools. And so not only the technology, but also the processes and the asset, all in all, once we start able to share, you will find you will not make the same mistake your neighbors will make, because you already shared it ahead of the time. We'll then jointly to be able to surface the bad actors much, in a much earlier time. We're able to reduce the attack surface. In addition to that, here is we'll be able to compensate the great shortage of cybersecurity talent. Okay, with that, the cyber perfect storm is yet to come, and the future has to be now, because we have no time to waste. Thank you very much.